What's going on, guys? Welcome to the UFC Fight Night Smith vs. Rakic preview show. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me as always, Jordan Ellis. Jordan, how are you doing today, mate?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Not bad. We've got a card here to break down. One of the better cards we had recently, I think. Obviously, we'll jump into the main event straight away. Main event between Anthony Smith and Alexander Rakic. Rakic is someone that's been on my radar for a little bit. He fought... Who did he fight last? Ozdemir, I believe. And I thought he might have won that one. It was a pretty close decision, you know. And before that, he starched Jimmy Manuwa. So he's definitely one of the better guys in the division. And he's taking on a tough challenge, probably his toughest challenge so far, against Anthony Smith, who's obviously a former title contender, coming off that loss to Glover Teixeira. But before that, coming off a win over... Gustafsson, that's right. Impressive submission win there. So this is an interesting one, especially in the light heavyweight division. What do you think of the fight?
I think it's a great fight. I think it's almost too good of a fight for Anthony Smith after such a brutal loss. He's kind of bounced straight back into another massive fight, and Rakic is one of the best in the division, no doubt about it. And he's a dangerous man. So. For Smith to be jumping straight in, it's a bit worrying, but it's also, it's what he's about. He's a game guy, and he's not gonna, be worried about getting straight back in there. So, it's a brilliant fight, and as you said, it's one of the best cards in a while. It's a pretty strong card.
Especially the main card. I mean, the prelims are not the worst, but they're nothing special. But this main card is very solid. And in the matchup here, I don't think this is going to be a boring fight. I don't think either guy's going to want to try and grapple here. I know Smith's probably the better grappler on paper, but I don't think he's going to try and grapple. I think he's going to try and stand and bang. We saw him in his last fight, and he looked like phenomenal in the first few rounds, but he just couldn't keep it up because of the pace he was putting on. The thing here, the X factor in this fight, is it's a 3-round main event. It's not a 5-round fight. It's a 3-round main event. So he can put the foot down and go as hard as he did in the first few rounds against Teixeira for 3 rounds here, and it'd probably do him quite well. Obviously, I think Rakic is a lot more dangerous than Glover Teixeira is over 3 rounds, whereas Teixeira over 5 rounds hard because, it's 5 rounds, whereas Rakic is dangerous from the go here. So I don't know if we're going to see Anthony Smith come out like he did in that last fight. But what do you think about this being a 3-round fight as opposed to a 5-round main event?
I think it does make it a bit more entertaining. I think they both will need to go for it. This is... I'm not really a fan of the 3-round main events. When it's a fight of this magnitude, I feel like the winner of this is probably one fight away from a title shot. So you want them to, have the full up 25 minutes to show what they're about and show themselves. And but I do think it favours Smith in this one. I think, cardio things got in his way last time. But then Rakic... The fight against Volkan just seemed to get away from him in 3 rounds where he might have won over 5 rounds. So it is something to consider. But I think we might get a finish anyway. I think either guy can finish this fight. They're both really dangerous. I'm edging Smith just because there is still question marks over Rakic, and he got a really quick, impressive win over Jimmy Manuwa, who hasn't fought since, who'd lost a load on the bounce anyway. So that's his best win. I don't think he beat Volkan. I thought it was close, but I thought Volkan edged that one as well. And then Volkan's went on and lost as well. So it's just there's a few question marks over Rakic, and he can answer them all against Smith and shut me up on Saturday. But for right now, I'm backing Smith. I think he might be able to just put a lot of pressure on him, smart pressure, and maybe drag the fight to the floor, or just get some type of TKO or submission stoppage. That's how I see it going.
Yeah, I agree with you that both guys are probably going to look for the finish here. If I'm predicting the fight right now, I'm taking Smith by decision. I think Rakic's probably durable enough not to get finished on the feet, but I can't really see... He could land the finishing blow, right? We can both say it. Either guy can put the other one's lights out. And I know Rakic can do it, but I just can't see it happening. I definitely can't see Smith finishing him. So my best bet for this one is probably Smith to edge a decision. I think it'll be a dominant performance, but I think he'll win by a decision. Unless for some reason it goes to the ground and he pulls off a submission. But yeah, that's my pick in this one.
Yeah, the way I see it is more of an overwhelming. I don't think he's actually going to hit and hurt him. He might just get a TKO on top, pounding, or just grab a neck or something like that as the fight progresses. The thing about Rakic is he's showed no sign of any type of chinniness. He looked perfect. He hasn't been hurt, or from what I can remember. And he's been in with Volkan, who's one of the biggest punchers in the division. So and he went 3 rounds there. So that's a good sign for him. And then also on his side, he's seen Smith hurt quite a few times, and as tough as he is, he's very when Smith's hurt, it's very obvious. He is kind of all over the place, and he starts loading up and throwing, and then that gives people more chances to finish him. As tough as he is, there is that way there, and Rakic will be confident of going out and doing that. If Glover Caceres is able to do it, I don't see why someone like Rakic won't fancy themselves as well. So it is a really good 50-50 fight, but I am just edging Smith just on experience, just because I know more about him, just because I've seen more from him. And Rakic has got, he's got it all to prove. He's a young contender, but he's still young, quite unproven at UFC level. And this is the biggest fight of his career, be the biggest win of his career. And, this is what the moment's for. It's a huge moment for him. See if he can take it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely know Anthony Smith is battle tested. We know what he's capable of. We know where his limits are. Whereas Rakic, like you said, is a bit of an unknown at this point. But I just want to go ahead a little bit. You did say something before that the winner of this is probably one fight away from a title shot. So what do you think the stakes are of this fight for the winner? Do you think they probably get the winner of what's the other fight going on? Santos versus... No, the winner of Santos Caceres is probably the next title challenger, right? The loser of that, maybe you get the winner of this. What do you think?
Yeah, you could see it like that. I think probably the loser of that fight gets the winner of this, and then you're onto a title shot. It just it depends, doesn't it? Because if Glover loses and Smith wins, do you want to see that fight again this soon? It all does depend. I think they'd be more intent on pushing Thiago Santos to a title shot rather than Glover Teixeira, who that win over Smith was impressive, and if he gets another one, it's even more impressive. But he's in his 40s, and I just don't think he's the type of guy UFC want as their champion right now. So they might hold back on him. It's all up in the air, but I don't think there's a lot in this light heavyweight division. I think a couple wins back to back over good opponents like Rakic, and then someone like Santos or Teixeira, that's enough for the title shot. It's wide open. It's really exciting at the minute, this division, and it's anyone's at the minute. Yeah,
I was looking at the rankings today, and I was like, this division, while there's good fighters and it's quite an exciting division, it's pretty shallow. I mean, Johnny Walker, he's ranked number 12 right now, and he's coming off 2 losses, and I believe his best win was against Misha Serkinov when Serkinov was 15 or something, 14 or something. But for some reason, he's 12th in the rankings. I know they don't mean a lot, but a couple of good wins and you can boost yourself right up there. I mean, look at Jiri Prochazka. He debuted and he's ranked number 6 now or 7. So maybe he's for either the winner of this. There's always like someone they can throw in there, but I definitely agree that the winner of this is one fight away from a title shot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, and it's wide open, and Johnny Walker's obviously a popular guy, so that's why he's ranked so highly. They're not going to drop him out too easy, and he did have a few good wins. It just is anyone's, and the winner of this is just in such a good position. It's just the loser is in a bit of a rough spot, because it'd be 2 on the bounce for either of them, and then you're looking at fighting down the rankings, and that's not good for anyone.
Not at all. We'll jump on to the co-main event here, which will see Robbie Lawler come back into the octagon since he lost to Colby Covington earlier in 2019, I believe. And Neil Magny, I think he fought earlier this year, if not late last year. Might have been earlier this year. So this is a short notice matchup for Lawler. Initially, it was meant to be Jeff Neal versus Neil Magny, who until Jeff Neal had like a life-threatening injury. Hopefully he's recovering in that one. But Robbie Lawler's taking his place. Similar fighter, in my opinion, in terms of power puncher, right? So Neil Magny's been prepping for a power puncher for whenever he was booked. I don't remember when that was. But Robbie Lawler, on the other hand, what's he been doing? Has he been in the gym? I imagine he has been. Is he prepared to take this fight on a short notice? What kind of Lawler are we going to see on Fight Night, do you think?
Yeah, that's the question. If we see the Lawler or anywhere close to the Lawler we're used to seeing, I think he's going to win this fight pretty easily. I think Neil Magny, he's won his last 2. He looked good against Lee, but then against Rocco Martin, he didn't look too good, and it was a weird fight. And I remember hyping him up, thinking, he looked really good against Jiling or whatever he's called anyway. Sorry, and he looked great in that fight, and then he didn't look so great. So that's the story of Neil Magny's career, and I think as this is a considerable step up in level, it is all just about Robbie Lawler and what one turns up. He's 38 now. He's on the back of 3 losses, but they're all against top guys. So it's kind of there for the taking for Magny if he wants to propel himself into them contender spots in one of the stacked divisions in all of MMA. He can go and do that by beating Robbie Lawler. It's just what Robbie Lawler is going to turn up. I really don't know. I back him to win just because of his history, but he hasn't won since 2017, so it's so hard to predict. And I could also see Neil Magny wiping him out as well. So it's just one of them. Yeah, sit back, enjoy, see what happens. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. I think in Neil Magny's last fight, from memory, he just held him on the cage and tried to land elbows, if I'm correct. Can't remember a lot of that fight. But it wasn't a great performance at all. And Robbie Lawler obviously hasn't looked good in his last few because he's had Covington, who's just unsurmountable pressure and just pushes you back and beats you up, right? Not a lot you can do there. And before that, he had Ben Askren, who he slammed on his head and beat up for like a good 2 minutes before he resurrected himself and choked him out. So, he's had a bit of a skid here, but I still think Lawler's the pick in this one. I think he's got heavy hands. I think Neil Magny's not the best striker in the welterweight division, let's be honest. And I think Robbie Lawler can land something big and put him out. I don't know. We haven't seen him in so long. We haven't seen him look good in so long. So it's just an unknown. He's been fighting the top guys. That's completely different from fighting Neil Magny. No dig on Neil Magny, but he's not shown in his recent outings that he's top 5 potential, right? Like a Colby Covington, for example. So how is Robbie Lawler going to look facing up against Neil Magny? That's the question. I agree.
Yeah, and it's just also the fact that Robbie Lawler, he got beat by Rafa dos Anjos, who has since gone on and looked, not too great at welterweight. So that's not even like a top tier loss in my opinion at welterweight. Rafa dos Anjos was not a top tier welterweight, so he's actually dropped down now. And then also against Donald Cerrone, he just about edged that fight as well. I think that was a split decision, or it was very close. And when we seen Conor McGregor wipe him out, so they're two fights where I don't think he looked too good either. And they're not top tier welterweights in my opinion. So there is an issue there, and it's been so long, and I'd love to see the odds just because I feel like Lawler will be the favourite, and then for me that makes Magny worth betting on because he's fresh. At least he's tall, he's rangy, he is talented, and he just needs to get over that hump. And I think he's kind of in his prime age, I think, as well. He's 33 now, so he's getting up there, and he needs to be making moves right now. And for me, this is kind of on a play for him, where Robbie Lawler, a big name, coming off, maybe not the couch, but coming off a long layoff, and not in great form. So he should be confident of going out there and taking Robbie Lawler out. And Robbie Lawler has got power, and we've seen Magny stop. So it's a really good fight. It's for me anyway, it's a better fight than the Jeff Neal one, because I really did expect Jeff Neal to come and
take him out,
wipe Magny out. Whereas this one, there's a few more questions, and it's much more open to debate and interpretation, and anything can happen. So that's why it's a great co-main event for this card. It's a great card all round, but this is a great fight.
Yeah, I really wanted to see Jeff Neal fight because I'm such a big fan, and obviously he hasn't fought in quite a while since he beat Mike Perry, but still a great fight. I'm looking at the odds right here, and Robbie Lawler's a 3-1 underdog, so I mean, I would be betting on Lawler if I'm betting for this fight because he's paying good money compared to Magny, who's not paying a whole lot. So if I'm a betting man, I'm taking Lawler. I'm probably taking Lawler generally in this fight, but I hope he shows up, because if he doesn't show up, he's going to lose, because Neil Magny's no scrub. So if he doesn't come in his best form, he's probably going to lose this one. It'll be interesting to see. Jumping down before that, we have the women's flyweight bout between Ji Yong Kim and Alexa Grosso. Grosso, former strawweight, maybe still a strawweight. Don't know what she's doing at flyweight. I'm just looking at this for the first time now and noticing it's a flyweight fight. Kim actually missed weight in her last fight, if I'm correct, which I think I am. I think she came in at 128. So interesting for Grosso to go up, and then they give her someone who's clearly a little bit big for the flyweight division. But who knows? I'm taking Grosso in this one because I think she's better than Kim in every area. Generally, I think the only thing Kim has on her is the reach. As a striker, I think Grosso's better. I think she's got better counters. So the range shouldn't be too much of an issue. You should probably get in and hit her from in range. I'm expecting Grosso to win this one for flying colours. I think it'll be a decision, but I think it'll be flying colours.
Yeah, I expect the same. I think all round, she's just the better fighter who's fought the people. She beats Carolina, she beats Randa Marcos, Heather Joe Clark. She's got a lot of good names on her record. Whereas Kim, I'm not sold on it yet, and I think this is one of my picks for the night where I'd go pretty strong with Grosso, and I'd be really surprised if she didn't win. I don't think the weight or them type of things for me don't really come into it. We've seen Kim lose to Antonio Shevchenko, and then we've seen Shevchenko got dominated in her last fight. So, yeah, I'm still unconvinced, and for that reason, I'm going Grasso quite big on this one.
Where Grasso usually loses, I mean, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but it was a former champion. I can't remember her name. Doesn't matter. She beat Grasso by wrestling. Who was that? It was Grasso's last fight, I believe. Who did she fight last? I'm blanking.
Who did she fight?
Well, why you get that one off of me?
She fought
what was it?
Esparza.
That's right. And she got wrestled. I think that's her vice, her wrestling, right? And I can't see Kim coming out here and wrestling her. So, with that being said, I think on the feet Grasso wins. I'm picking Grasso.
Yeah, and she hasn't been clearly beat since 2017. So she got subbed by Tatiana
That's right.
Suarez, but other than that in the UFC, it's been decisions, and that last one was a majority anyway. So, and Carla Esparza's, she's on the verge of something big as well. So it's no shame in losing them fights, and then in the meantime, she's beating the mid-ranked girls. It's just she's just got to make that jump now, and this seems like a nice fight for her to get a little win or get a win back, and then start moving up the rankings. It'll be interesting to see where she stays in terms of weights and things like that, and maybe it's just a coronavirus thing. So it'll be interesting to see how she looks.
Yeah, and just while we're mentioning Tatiana Suarez, I think she's losing hers no blemish in your record. She's one of the best in the division, and I think she's definitely going to be a tough challenge for whoever she fights next, if she gets a title shot or if it's number one contender. Anyway, we'll move on to the fight before this, which is a featherweight fight, which is a short notice fight for Bill Algeo against Ricardo Llamas. Obviously, Ryan Hall was meant to fight Ricardo Llamas in this one. Would have been a great fight. Big fan of Ryan Hall. Algeo steps up on a couple of days' notice, maybe a week's notice. I don't know a lot about him, so I'm not really going to break down him a lot. But Llamas is a solid striker. He's got power in those hands, and he's just an impressive fighter overall. So it'll be interesting to see what this debut looks like. Because to get Ricardo Llamas in your debut is a pretty tall ask, right? You want to be starting off with someone who's a bit newer and it's a bit on your experience level. You don't really want to be jumping in there against Ricardo Llamas, who's been in there with everyone. Been in with Max Holloway, some of the best in the division. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's a tough debut. It's pretty much as tough as they come. I don't see any way Algeo's going to be able to get the win. I think Ricardo Llamas is still, he's maybe not at the top of his game, but he's still there. He's still worthy of being in there with Ryan Hall and people like that. So I just don't see any way for Bill to get this win. And all credit for stepping up, but we've seen him on Contender Series, and he lost convincingly against one of our guys, Brendan Loughlin, and he got dominated in that fight. So and then there's a couple steps up to Ricardo Llamas, who is, I think he's coming off a loss or two. And when I spoke to him, he seemed like, yeah, he lost to Tatar, and he's had a few lately. I think he's lost 3 of his last 4, and he seems, desperate to put that right. So I just think he's just going to go in and try and wipe out Algeo, and I think he will do it. I think there's just levels to this game, and we've seen people coming on late notice and spring big upsets, but I just don't see it in this one. I think Ricardo Llamas all day. However, whenever he wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about his record, he might have lost to Calvin Qatar, but he's lost to Jeremy Stevens as well. I think he got knocked out. No, Jeremy Stevens, sorry. Josh Emmett, that's right. But he's submitted people like Charles Oliveira. He's got other big wins on his record, so he's definitely the more experienced guy. Probably, I don't know Bill Algeo at all. I've never seen him fight. So I'm going to say Ricardo Llamas is probably the more skilled fighter. Bar a miracle happening, I'm going to take Ricardo Llamas in this fight. And yeah, with that, I think we'll jump on to the fight opening the card, which we've broken down what seems like 1,000 times by now. Third time rebooked. Hopefully we get it this time. Magomed Ankalaev versus Iron Kudalaba. What are your thoughts?
I don't know anymore. What one of them got coronavirus?
Kudalaba.
Well, I'm back on the other one then, because this is a quick turnaround. If he's just had coronavirus, and I know some people are okay when they've got it, but some people it messes them up and they don't feel too good. So I was probably going Anklev anyway, but I think there is a couple of levels in this, and I think even in the original fight, barring the quick stoppage, he would have quickly got the win anyway. I think he was hitting him really flush, and he might have been playing possum, but I don't see, like, Cutelaba weren't really in the fight. I know it was 38 seconds and a bit too quick, but I think he would have lost anyway, in my opinion. I think we've seen Ankalaev, he's looked good pretty much in all his UFC career, barring about 2 seconds against Paul Craig where he got subbed. Besides that, he's dominated everything. He's looked really good, and I'm picking him to win this, and he'll win it probably in the first round again. I think he'll be quite quick. This fight was, for most fans, and for me anyway, something of a nothing fight, and it's turned into a fight like people can't wait to see because it's been rebooked and booked so many times. So I'll just be happy to get this one over and done with, and we can stop speaking about it for every time we have a podcast.
Yeah, I understand how you feel, but in the matchup itself, I'm torn because on one hand, I think the playing possum stuff might have worked in that first fight if it kept going. He might have been able to catch him with something big and put him away, but you're not going to go out there and pull that this time, right? Even if he tries to do it, it's not going to work. He's not going to bait him into getting into this war. So I think technically Magomed Ankalaev's probably better and probably the best pick. Although, here's what really has me torn. Last time I picked against Iron Cutelaba was when he fought Khalil Roundtree, and I was like, Roundtree's going to go out there and smash him, and he put Roundtree away. So it's hard for me to pick against him because of the history. So because you're taking Ankalaev or whatever, I'm going to take Cutelaba in this one, and we'll see who gets it.
Yeah, for me, it's a pretty straightforward fight, and it's just turned into something it's not. I think Ankalaev is the one to watch in the division. I think it's a good fight, and it'll be fun, I think, for as long as it lasts. But I think it's going to be a similar finish, like really quick. I think I'm expecting first round finish again, and it could be either guy though, because they're both going to swing, and I don't think there's any worry on either side about chins and things like that. So it's going to be fun. And it's let's get out the way and let's see these two go on and do something else now. It's been going on for so long.
That's true. We'll jump on just before we wrap up the card. There's one prelim I want to speak about. Most prelims are pretty not the best, but they're not bad. But we've got Alex Caceres fighting Giga Chikadze, if I can pronounce his last name. I think that's a quick nose turnaround for him because I feel like he fought like 2 weeks ago, maybe a couple of weeks before that.
I think that bout's off.
Oh, really?
I think Caceres is fighting someone called Kevin Kroom, a newcomer. Right. I think GG dropped out yesterday.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, but we're actually due to speak to Alex today, so we'll get all the info on that, what's happening there. But yeah, Alex Caceres fighting. I think GG's. Well, I'm almost certain he's off the card, and it's Kevin Kroom, who I've never heard of before this. So we'll go and have a little look at him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a tough fight for a debuter as well. I mean, we looked what happened to Chase Hooper, had all the hype behind him, all the traction, and he went up against Alex Caceres, and he came up short, and he pretty much got dominated in that fight. There wasn't really a lot of that fight where he looked like he was in it. So Alex Caceres seems to be on top of his game at the moment, so taking on a debuter might be easy work for him, easy paycheck.
Yeah, he just seems like a really experienced guy. There's lots of fights on there. I think there's 33 fights, 21 and 12 years, and he's been fighting on Bellator and shows like that. So he's a game guy, and Alex Caceres is not unbeatable. Like, he looked good against Chase Hooper, but that's a veteran making a novice basically look bad and using his veteran tricks. But now we've got 2 veterans in here, and I think this is a very winnable debut. Not know too much about Kevin Kroom. I think I wouldn't write him off in this one, whereas on the Llamas one, that's a tough fight for a debut. This is a good chance to get your foot in the door, get a respectable name on your record, and he'll be happy about it, and it's huge. Yeah,
so we'll see how that one goes. With that, I think we'll jump on to some news, and the first thing on my little page here is something I said last week, a couple of days ago, which has been pretty much confirmed. It's not confirmed yet, but pretty much confirmed. Tony Ferguson versus Dustin Poirier is going to be on 254. Probably the co-main event. I haven't read the article, but I'm assuming that's what it probably says. Co-main event right under the Khabib-Gaethje fight, which is actually incredible for an addition to that card because it already had Robert Whittaker fighting Jared Cannonier on it. So if that's going on there, that's going to be an awesome card. What do you think?
It's a monster card because it's also got Yair against Zebiton as well. So it's just like it's getting bigger and bigger, and I think that's it. They've got to be done with big fights adding to that card now. Basically, what it is Dana White is kind of he's playing with the media a bit at the minute because he just keeps saying probably, and he's smiling and he's laughing, but it just seems like a matter of time before we get like some type of announcement video announcing this huge fight, and it's a monster card, probably the biggest card of the year if it ends up like that with that 5-fight main card, because I think we've got the main event Khabib Justin, then we've got this one Robert Whittaker against Cannonier,
Volkov and Harris.
Yair against Zabit. Volkov and Harris, that's your main card. That's huge. That's huge.
That's crazy. I hope that's the case because, that's definitely one worth the $60 pay-per-view price. And it sets up a fight. If Tony gets the win there over Dustin Poirier and Khabib defends his belt, how can you not make the fight? Everyone's wanted it. We've wanted it for like what seems like 8 years, like 6 years maybe. And I've tried to book it 5 times. Come on. You got to get it done before Khabib retires.
And also, you might, not to jinx anything, but if someone falls out, we could have a little switch up as well. Because if Justin falls out, I think Tony could step up and fight Khabib. We still want to see it. He lost, but I wouldn't mind seeing that. Then if Khabib falls out, Dustin might step up and fight Justin because,
you already beat him once.
There's a bit of something going on there. So, there's interchangeable fights, not hoping it stays as it is, but we could still get a big fight even if Khabib drops out because he has dropped out a lot. We can't deny that. So it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hoping that Gaethje drops out, but if we get Tony versus Khabib finally, it's not the end of the world, is it? That'll be quite a good swap in there. So we'll see. What I've got next here, something real quick that we can skim over. Fabrice Overdoom believes he finishes John Jones in heavyweight superfight. Thoughts?
I'm sure he does. He's super talented. He's one of the best heavyweights ever, and John Jones hasn't fought at heavyweight, so I'm sure he feels like he could, drag the fight to the floor. But I just think it would, it'd be dangerous. I just don't see how he would be able to get John Jones to the floor. And no, but he's just pulled off a big win over Gustafsson. He's happy. He's in free agency right now. He's talking a lot of noise, and he's feeling himself, and he's. Fair play to him, he's earned it. So I hope he doesn't fight John Jones because it's not really something I want to see. And after his performance against Olenek, I don't think he's ever going to get a fight against John Jones. He's so far off. I hope he goes and fights someone like Fedor, and we see John Jones, in with the big boys. It looks like he might go straight to a title shot after Francis against Stipe. So yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone wants. Next piece of news. Pedro Munoz asked for an immediate rematch after his loss to Frankie Edgar. I think he deserves it. That fight I had scored for him. Regardless, it was a very, very close fight. It was an entertaining fight. I don't know why you wouldn't want to watch it again. I don't think Frankie wants it because Frankie's just won against him. Why would you want to do a rematch when you're now ranked 5th in the world? So, aside from Frankie not wanting it, why wouldn't they do this fight?
I just think it's one of them where it was a close call, and I did have Munoz winning myself, but I wouldn't call it a robbery or anything like that. I thought it was close, and it is kind of about what you like, whereas there is other fights this year where I've thought I really don't like that decision. So in terms of robberies and decisions I don't like, this is well down the list, even though I picked Munoz, and I did think he won it quite clearly, but it is... I can see the argument for Edgar. I can see how he won that fight, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying Edgar won that fight as well. So it's, in my eyes, it's not controversial, but to Pedro Munoz, who's just coming off it, I'm sure it is, and I think he'll be happy fighting Edgar or anyone with a big name. He just doesn't want to drop 2 down, because basically he's just lost to someone who's unranked. So that could be bad for his credit, but I don't think it will be, and he'll still get a big fight next.
You'd hope so, because they both looked really good. With that, that's all the news I have. Anything else you got?
No, that's everything.
No worries. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll speak to you after the fights to recap all the action.